Hi, I'm Rachel. This is Mimi, where we live in faith every day, and this is life. Hi, guys. I know that we have talked quite a few things about some very not so happy side of Christianity in the past several videos, and I kind of wanted to touch upon it in the biblical terms and also a little bit deeper because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about the Christian walk being a happy and amazing and this awesome, like you're going to be successful, God's going to give you and bless you in a lot of different ways, which He will. That's actually quite not exactly what you've expected. You might be thinking, am I the only one? You might feel completely alone. You might feel dejected. You might feel guilty. You might feel quite a lot of different things. And I wanted to kind of clear it up, saying that all of that is very normal and it's you're actually on the right path. I will be talking about depression and anxiety, especially in the Christianity, and how that's quite normal, especially with depression and anxiety. And I say "and" because we will diagnosed, and there are a lot of things in the Bible that kind of point to it and kind of verify and validate that these things are actually quite common. And here are some verses that I kind of like gathered up and wanted to kind of share with you guys and to kind of show you through the Bible what it really is like when you first start your Christian walk. It will get easier and easier with time, and then of course the blessings will come slowly but surely, but it will come. But in the beginning, during the entire Christian walk, it's going to be extremely difficult. It's going to be extremely like you're all alone. You might feel completely dejected. You might feel completely and utterly powerless, worthless. Is this even worth it? That sort of thing, right? And so one of the verses that kind of all encompasses everything that I just talked about is Matthew chapter 5 verse 10, which reads, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Okay, so that's already proven that we will be persecuted. Here's another one, Matthew chapter 10 verse 16, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." So if you are a Christian and if you have started a relationship with God and you're trying to spread God's word, because what God wants to do is save us and then save others through us. And by doing that, He's literally saying that we are sheep in the middle of wolves. They are all out there to devour us and to kill us and to eat us alive. So, just with those two verses, you can already tell, right? It's not going to be an easy walk. It's not going to be a flower path. So many people are going to be against us. We're going to be going against wolves. We're going to be going against a lot of different of these things. So, John 15 verse 18, "If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you." Luke 6 verse 22, "Blessed are you when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake." Okay, there will be times when people who knows who it could be. It could be your church members, it could be your family members, it could be your friends who turn around and say like, "Hey, maybe you're the one that's wrong, you're the one that's evil." And you would just be like, what have I just walked into? Twilight Zone? Like, as my family, as church members, as Christians, aren't you supposed to love and care for each other and support me? But instead you're basically telling me that I'm the crazy one, or I'm the one that's like who doesn't understand the Bible properly. Like, what in the world is going on, right? And God already warned us that it's going to happen, that and cast out your name as evil. I don't know how much more clear that can be, right? So a lot of these things can lead to depression, and it can lead to anxiety, and it's quite unfortunate, but it is very common, and it is probably and most likely going to happen. And so I kind of wanted to touch on the criterias and what the diagnosis itself has to say about this, so that maybe you can identify with these to look at yourself and to maybe like help yourself in this way. Depression or major depressive disorder, and I'm going to read it out of the actual the criteria, the DSM, so that you guys can get the raw information. And here are the criteria. So some of the symptoms that you can have is depressed mood or irritability, decreased interest or pleasures in most activities or most of the days, significant weight change or change in appetite. So you can be either eating too much or too little. Maybe you're stress eating, so you'll start gaining weight, or some people will just not eat because they don't have an appetite. Change in sleep, whether you're sleeping too much or too little, or sometimes it'll be like you'll just not sleep at all, and then like later on you'll sleep too much, right? So your sleeping pattern changes. Fatigue or loss of energy, so it doesn't matter how much you sleep or anything like that, you'll still feel tired or feel like you don't have energy to do anything. Guilt or worthlessness, so some of these feelings of feeling guilt or worthlessness. Concentration, your ability to concentrate will be decreased. And suicidality. Now, if you have suicidal thoughts and you want to harm yourself, please do go find support. There's a lot out there. If you search out suicide hotline, there is a place that you can go. So please do call them if you are like on the brink. But with the Christianity world, I find it very, very common for people who first follow Christ to have these thoughts, because they are bombarded, and as the verse said, that we are thrown in a den of wolves to be devoured. Of course we're just going to be like, just get me out of here. Like, I'd much rather just die than to be tortured like this, right? And so I find it very common for people who are like first starting their walk. That's when Satan hits you the hardest. And once you get over that big, huge mountain, then it'll start getting easier and easier and easier. But during that time, a lot of people are just, I just want to be done and over with this. I just want to die, so that I can just die and then, raise from the dead, and then I'll be with God. So it's very common, and it's not something to be ashamed of, but it's something to explore and accept that part of yourself, because it's very natural and very common. So I do want to throw that out there. I go to anxiety and kind of give you a glimpse of what that looks like. We have excessive anxiety and worry, and the person finds difficulty to control the worry. So there's a lot of different symptoms. You guys can look it up. If you just look up DSM criteria for anxiety, you'll find a lot of places that you can look that'll give you all of these. If you feel like you have this, please look it up and see if that relates to you. Okay, so some of these could be like heart palpitations, sweating, trembling, shaking, dry mouth, difficulties breathing, feeling of choking, chest pain, discomfort, nausea, or abdominal distress. This can range from 1 to 10 again, so it's something to range. Muscle tensions or aches and pains, restlessness and inability to relax, feeling keyed up or on edge, or of mental tension, a sensation of a lump in the throat, or difficulty with swallowing. Okay, again, all of these things, right? I'm not reading all of these because there's quite a few So I just wanted to give you like some of the things that I think would be a little bit more common for some people, rather than some of the other ones, because some of the other ones are more for panic disorder rather than anxiety disorder. And then another thing that kind of associates with this is feeling restlessness or feeling keyed up or on edge, which was part of the other symptomologies. Being easily fatigued, difficulty concentrating or mind going blank, irritability, muscle tension, and sleep disturbance. So, which is obviously, if you're that anxious, of course you're gonna have difficulty sleeping. Another thing that kind of came up, I might do like a whole separate video about this, but I did want to touch on it because I think sometimes people are like, oh, I think I'm depressed, or oh, I think I'm anxious, but then they don't realize that they have gone through a very, very stressful experience, and that actually can be PTSD rather than depression or anxiety. And especially when you first start and decide to follow God and you are thrown in like a den of wolves, your psychological, spiritual, emotional will be attacked, and they will be pretty much in danger. And with that being said, that can lead to a lot of difficulties in how you view things. Maybe you'll think, I don't want to go back to church anymore. Maybe some of the people that are watching this right now have been to church before but are no longer going to church now because of the things that they have experienced with church and church members, and they're like, okay, I don't want to be in church anymore. I will say that you're not alone, and I will say that what you might be experiencing is not depression or anxiety, it is PTSD, which is very unfortunate, but also I will let you know that what you are going through is common for those who are following Christ. You will be persecuted. It's not a you might, it's you will. You're in the middle of a den of wolves. They're going to come and attack you. Your life will be at risk. Your Christianity or your spirituality will be at risk. Your psychological state will be at risk. So the fact that you might have PTSD might be quite high. I may make a separate video just on PTSD to kind of address that a little bit more deeper. That being said, here is the criteria for PTSD. So that is a person was exposed to death, threatened death, actual or threatened serious injury, or actual threatened of sexual violence in the following ways. Okay, so it's talking about death and serious injury, right? What people don't realize that serious injury is not just physical serious injury. It's emotional serious injury, spiritual serious injury. And so there might be a minor PTSD going on. Now, that being said, direct exposure, witness to trauma, learning that a relationship or close friend was exposed to trauma, indirect exposure to adversive details of the trauma, usually in the course of professional duties. Okay, so, but again, there might be innocent bystanders who were there, who may have witnessed what you were going through, witnessed what these people were doing to you, and all of these things, and they may have indirect secondary trauma, what we call secondary trauma. But I think a lot of people just brush it off and say, oh, you know what, it's okay, it's just part of the process, and then just move on. Here are some things that are only related to PTSD, and that is unwanted upsetting memories, nightmares, flashbacks, emotional distress after exposure to trauma reminders, physical reactivity after exposure to trauma reminders, trauma-related thoughts, feelings, or trauma-related external reminders. So if your traumatic experience happened at church, because a lot of these church people have been very aggressive and emotionally and psychologically attacking and debilitating, then you wouldn't want anything to do with church. And unfortunately, God, Christianity, spirituality, religion, church, all of these things are reminders and triggers for people who have experienced all of this. And so they want to stay as far away as possible. And Satan is utilizing this knowledge to push people as far away from church and God as possible, just by giving them PTSD. So some people, they might feel like, may not realize that, oh, I just went through something really traumatic, and be like, I'm just depressed or I'm anxious. That's just something to think about. I may go in a lot deeper as far as PTSD is concerned. There is a lot more to it than for me to just explain it in this video. I kind of wanted to go back to the Bible verses, especially with PTSD. You might have a lot of sense of shame for yourself because of your Christian belief, and this might come from a verse like this one, which is Matthew chapter 5 verse 44. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. And it's really difficult to do that, especially when you have 20, 30, 40, 50 people against you. You're like, how do I stand up for that? How do I love them? How do I bless them? I don't want to do that. I hate the people in the church. I hate what they are doing to me. And then you feel like a terrible Christian, and you feel like a terrible person because you did the exact opposite of what God would like us to do as Christians. And again, that comes from PTSD. You have a lot of guilt. You might have a lot of anger. And so again, I want to point out that these are very common and very normal to have, and that you're not a terrible person, because God even promises that He will never leave us nor forsake us, and He's not going to leave us or forsake us just because we hated our enemies. Just part of the process. So a lot of these things of depression or anxiety or even maybe PTSD kind of gives us the reassurance that you're going in the right direction. And a verse that kind of popped up in my attention is 1 John 3:19, which said, this is how we know that we belong to the truth and how we set our hearts at rest in His presence. If you weren't going in the right direction and you were just, far away from God, then Satan doesn't have anything to attack you. He won't need a reason to attack you. But because you are going in the right direction, because you are following God, and because you are doing what is right, he will try to bring you down as hard and as much and as fast as he possibly can. And so with all of these, you can know that you're going in the right direction. And I hope it can be reassuring. John chapter 16 verse 33 is also another reassuring verse, which is, these things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have tribulation, but take courage, I have overcome the world. So again, if you remember when Jesus was here on earth, his own disciples sometimes abandoned him. Peter said that he would never ever deny him, and yet he did. The Pharisees, who were supposed to be scribes of the Bible, who should know the Bible in and out, were the ones that were attacking Jesus and testing him. It's kind of like, okay, so this is what Jesus kind of had to go through, and well, yeah, it would make sense that I would need to go through this as well, not because I'm supposed to, but because of the fact that that's just the condition of the world that we're living in. Give examples that we are not the only people who went through this. A lot of people went through this in the Bible times. It's just that it's just not labeled as depression and anxiety or PTSD. And one of the verses, it says in Psalms chapter 23 verse 4, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." Shadow of death. That's not a very pretty picture to think about, that he's going to be there for you. Even if you leave the church and you decide to leave, unfortunately, maybe, those of you who are watching this have already left the church, but that doesn't mean that you have left God. So I'm going to leave, I guess, topic with this, and this is 1 Peter 5 verse 7. "Cast all your anxiety onto him, because he cares for you." So those of you who are struggling out there, who are going through a lot of difficult times, who may be questioning things because you decided to follow God and or Jesus, and a lot of these things are happening to you, and you're just trying to figure things out, or maybe some of you have already left the church and are watching this video and are thinking, okay, maybe I have some of these things and this is very common. I really hope that this video kind of provided some clarity and maybe clearing up some misunderstandings that might have happened, or maybe like help you understand that you were going in the right direction. You just didn't understand that that was just part of the process, and maybe you left a little too early and you kind of want to go back. I don't know, whatever the case may be, but I really hope that this video maybe have brought you a little bit more clear understanding of some of these misunderstood topics. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, down there below in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and hit the bell for notifications for videos like this. And till next time, bye guys. Mimi, just wagging his tail. Mimi, Mimi, Mimi. His whisker is broken right here. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye.